Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in today's second video. So we're doing the CFS 6 months look ahead for today's second video. We've already done the weekend forecast. You can find the video of that on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a bit and it's underneath the link ads. There's also going to be the written version, and you get to that via the buttons at the top of the page. And this one takes us just about through to Christmas. We have our first stab in terms of the week ahead forecast for Christmas. So check that out if you would like to do that. But as I say, this is a CFS 6 month look ahead. As the name implies, we do what the name says on the tin. So we're going to go 6 months ahead with CFS model, and it's going to take us through the first half of 2017. Going to go from January next month through to June. It's just for fun. The charts are there, so you might as well have a look at them and see what they're showing. But don't take it too seriously, whatever you do. The first month or two, okay, there is some scientific merit about it because it's not all that far away. So hopefully the model's got some sort of idea, though sometimes you do question CFS whether it does or not. But hopefully if it does, it's getting it sort of close, perhaps not right, but very close to where it might finish up in the next month or so. But as you go 3, 4, 5, 6 months ahead, that is in the realm of speculation, and it's not to be right. It's just a snapshot of what model is showing right now when I'm doing the video in December 2016. So we'll go through the charts in a second. We'll have a look at 700 millibar heights first. We'll have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies. If you like cold weather, I'll warn you now, it's possibly going to be one to get behind the sage long, because, well, you'll see what's going to happen in a moment. Before I get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all of the pages. Have a browse through widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, you're going to be helping us to pay for the website. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads, both pages with owner content, but you actually may close back again. It does help to pay for gas. So this amateur shop is still open, although time is ticking on now. But you've got increased shopping to do at Amazon between now, because all you have to do is click the green button that says Chris's Shop. It takes you to a Chris Shop page, and from there you go through the Amazon banners. Because you've gone from Gaz Office to Amazon, we get a revenue fee on the things that you are buying, and a big thank you to everybody for doing that. It's been a very, very huge success again this year, as it always is. You always come through the Gaz Leads. So big thank you to everybody. As I say, you've still got time to get presents out to you, but time is cracking on now. Can you believe this time next week will be Christmas Eve? Who would have thought that one was possible? Right, so we'll get on with the CFS 6. I was off on a tangent there, sorry about that. We'll get on with CFS 6 look ahead. And we're going to start off with 700 millibar height anomaly flowcharts. We're starting off with January. On these charts, the brighter colours, sort of yellow, orange, red, always extrapolate to high pressure, while the darker colours, blue colours, extrapolate to low pressure. There is one model that does that the other way around. That's the Brazilian model, but most of them don't do it like that. So we see that for January, we've got this area of above average heights around and ever so slightly to the north of the UK. Trough of low pressure is around Newfoundland, with the jet stream potentially doing something a little bit like that. We are under a big ridge there, so you'd expect a very dry month. The exact position of that high pressure is going to be critical. As it is, the cold air with this is probably going down there, down into Scandinavia and northeastern Europe, but some of it could be pushing out into Central Europe via easterly winds. Now, if that ridge was to go any further north and west, so say it was to push up that way ever so slightly, and it, instead of being centred there, the orange colours were essentially centred somewhere around there, then that would be a cold signal with pull winds in from the northeast. Just not quite right, but it's very close to being cold that in January. It's an anomaly as well for a monthly period, so it might be that whilst it sits there in that position as an anomaly for the 4 weeks, it might do something more interesting for a week or 10 days, maybe a couple of weeks even. So that's quite an interesting one to start us off on January. The temperature anomaly, I want you now, temperature anomaly won't look anything to write home about, but that is quite an interesting chart, I think, to be starting off with. Then we go through to February, and it all goes rather wrong, and a bit like a pancake, because we've got the high pressure down here around Spain and Portugal, and stretching out into the Azores and the Atlantic. They've got the trough of low pressure around Greenland and Iceland, and the upshot is that we're bringing in these westerly winds. So that's Atlantic-driven. February will be mild, probably wet and windy in the north, mostly dry in the south, or there'll probably be limited rain in the south because we're close to that ridge. And that just looks a very mild Atlantic-driven pattern for February. Not much more can be said about that. Going through to March, this one looks a bit different in March as well. We've got the trough of low pressure to the south of Greenland, around there. There's some sort of ridge pulling back towards the eastern seaboard of the United States, so that's quite a long way away from us. If you come over to this side of the chart, we've got an area of above average heights in over Scandinavia, and it looks like it does extend back a little bit towards high pressure in the Arctic as well. So potentially this is a battle type moment. We've got a trough of low pressure in the Atlantic doing something like that. But then we've also got that ridge to the east of us trying to bring in these easterly winds. Very difficult to say which way that goes. It could either be mild or cold, really, from that. I suspect, again, the model will show mild, because that is the default setup for the CFS. But it's one of those in-between months there, and it might be heralding something a little bit more interesting from a colder perspective there for March. So, potentially a coolish January, very mild February, a cooler March, perhaps. April strengthens that area of above average heights around Scandinavia, going up towards the north, but it also brings this trough closer to us, and the ridge is strengthening around Spain and Portugal as well. So a real mixed bag in April. This is month 4, of course, so now it really is in the realm of being just for fun. But it more or less suggests we're in an Atlantic-driven pattern there, and fairly mild in April, although that is quite a big ridge that's sitting up around Svalbard. So it's not totally impossible. That could be quite a coldish month in April. But as it is, a model I think is suggesting fairly mild Atlantic-driven month. And then that blocking signal just strengthens even more into May. So quite what's going on with the spring at the moment. I'm not sure. I'm going to do the first spring seasonal model update probably on the 27th of December. Or it might be the 28th. I'm not sure. It'll be either one of those days. Anyway, quite what's going on there with that blocking signal that we've got through the spring, which is strengthening month by month from March to April to May. It is getting stronger, this blocking signal up here. I'm not sure. It's got a trough of low pressure in over the UK as well, and the Azores high is looking fairly weak. So overall, that's a pretty grim looking signal for May, to be honest. It would be quite an unsettled month with that trough, and with the blocking probably producing a lot of easterly winds, because you tend to get a lot of easterly winds anyway in May. It's the most easterly month of the year. That would be pretty grim, but it's 5 months away, so it's not worth being too worried about it. And then finally, we finish up 6 months away in June, and the idea for this month, for June, is to have a ridge around Iceland, which is never a very good sign, but also a ridge around Spain, which is a better sign. So quite what we get with that, I'm not sure. That ridge across Spain could pump up some quite hot air, but alternatively, the ridge around Iceland could pull down some quite cool air from the north or northeast. So I think we'll leave that alone. It's 6 months away. It is just for fun and not worth being too concerned about. Right, coming back to the temperature anomalies for January then, and this is how the model is seeing temperatures in January. Notice the coldest temperatures again are down in the southeast of Europe. That's where we've had them through December. That's where the model wants to keep them into January. Elsewhere, the signal for Scandinavia and the UK is generally coming out milder than average, with near normal temperature anomalies elsewhere. But remember that that ridge would only have to change its position slightly, and we'd be in for something colder. So at the moment, it's being centred somewhere around here, that area of high pressure. If we was to centre that somewhere around here, or even here, then we will pull down much colder air from the north. It's just not quite right, but it isn't far away. So I do think January might hold potential for something a little bit more wintry. February is just a sea of mild, and you would expect that because it's very Atlantic driven month. We've got lots of low pressure up here, we've got high pressure down here and there as well, and bringing the jet stream through like that. So it's just a mild Atlantic driven month in February. March is also looking milder. I was unsure what's going on in March. We've got the trough out to the west. We've got the ridge up here strengthening and seemingly going up there as well. So it's a battle type scenario. We've got westerlies trying to come in from the Atlantic. We've got that ridge trying to bring the winds in from the east across the north of Europe. The model is defaulting to mild because that's what it always does, really. But I would suspect if it came off, as the model is suggesting, there would at least be some potential for cooler conditions. April also looking significantly milder than average. A funny month in April. We've got a ridge up here. And we've also got a ridge down here, and we've got low pressure close to here. So I did think it was probably suggesting southwesterlies in April, but of course the blocking signal was strengthening in this sort of area, so it's not totally impossible that April could turn cooler as well. May sees those temperature anomalies easing back to average across the UK. The trough is then centred over here. We've got loads and loads of high pressure up here by this point as well. So probably a pretty grim month in May, fairly wet and quite cool if the model was getting it right. And then we finish up in June, which is 6 months away. It's not worth worrying about, but in June it was again very complicated. We've got the suggestion of high pressure being up there, but also got the suggestion of high pressure being down there. It's coming out with slightly milder than average month for most of Western Europe in June anyway. And then finally, we'll have a look at the precipitation anomaly. So this is how precipitation is stacking up for January. Again, it's coming out milder, I should say drier than average, sorry about that, in January, which you would expect because there's a big ridge parked somewhere around here or maybe somewhere up here, so you'd expect a fairly dry month in January. Go through to February. This looks proper north-south split for Europe, so the north is wet with all that low pressure and the jet stream. The south, is dry with the high pressure going through there across southern Europe. So that's just a very Atlantic-driven, mild, wet and windy into the winter. This is March, and very weak precipitation anomalies in March as well. It is a very complicated one as we're going through into March. It suggests average precipitation, but it is a weak signal. April is coming out wetter than average. The trough of low pressure was close to us in April, so I think it is quite an Atlantic driven sort of pattern that we have going on in April. Wetter than average month there. May coming out significantly wetter than average. Remember, in May we've got that trough part right over the northwest of Europe, so pretty grim month with high pressure also in the mix up there, bringing in lots of easterly winds. Why couldn't we have that sort of setup in January? And then we go through to June, again, 6 months away, so all the caveats apply. It's coming out close to average with precipitation for the first month of the summer. So it's not the best update if you want cold weather, I have to confess. Looks like there's the potential to me for something to happen in January, but we've got to wait and see whether we can get that ridge a little bit further north and west. After that, nothing really doing in February at all. That just looks incredibly Atlantic driven and really mild. And then we move through into the spring months. It all gets very complicated. March and April, really weak signals. May seems to be a very grim month, cool and wet, but we won't worry about that. It's 5 months away, so let's not concern ourselves with that. All eyes are going to be on this ridge for January. That's going to hold the key, certainly for January. I'm not sure about February, but certainly for January, the ridge will hold the key. If it sits where it has in December, or where the CFS wants it to sit, as it's a 700 millibar height anomaly for January, it's not going to be a particularly cold month. It could be frosty and foggy, won't be much wintry potential. If we can get it further north and west, somewhere towards Iceland or Greenland, then we're in business. So we're going to have to wait and see, essentially, what happens with that ridge of high pressure in January. So that's where all eyes will be over the next 2 or 3 weeks to see what's going to happen. Right, that's all now. Don't forget to check out Weekend Broadcast if you would like to do that. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow we'll have a Sunday morning roundup. So we'll look at things like the stratosphere. We'll see what's going on with the GFS ensembles, perhaps, if we have time for that. There'll be quite a bit to cram in for that one tomorrow. And also have a look at the Arctic Constellation, the North Atlantic Constellation, see what their forecasters do. And then tomorrow evening, we'll do the 23rd Christmas update. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.